This is Meltdown Live, presented by MyBookie.ag. Use code NEXTROUND at MyBookie.ag for double your initial deposit. You sign on to make a deposit, they double it with code NEXTROUND at MyBookie.ag. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere. MyBookie.ag.
And welcome into this Monday edition of the Meltdown. So thrilled to have you here. So much to get to in the world of entertainment for sure. I'm Tim Melton, broadcasting live from the Culver studio, and we are thrilled to have you on board with us. Let me introduce our cast of characters today, including E.G., who's here with us, back fresh from Baton Rouge.
Baton Rouge? I'm back.
Did you hear anybody say Baton Rouge that way when you were down there?
But throughout my duration of time, that phrasing was in my head quite often. Was your voice
Good.
saying Baton Rouge?
That's exactly what I wanted.
Good.
We also have here with a baton in hand, Mr. Tyler Lionel Johns. Tyler, how you doing, man?
I'm good. Finished The Penguin, saw a ton of movies over the weekend. I'm tired.
We have a lot to get to in this episode of the show. Lots of entertainment reviews, lots of chatter. You're going to be seeing a lot of content come out from this channel over the next 24 hours as we look to recap everything that we watched over the past couple of days. One thing that you watched, EG, was an absolute bludgeoning
Ooh,
of Alabama defeating LSU. A lot of Crimson Tide fans feeling at ease right now
sure.
about what they saw down there at night in Louisiana. What was your perspective of the game? And we'll talk a little bit more about the travel that was associated with it.
So we get to Tiger Stadium, and pulling up to this stadium, it is menacing, right? It's kind of cloudy. It's kind of like a dark gray exterior, and it says Tiger Stadium and like the LSU font. And when I tell y'all, there were so many people at this event. We got there around 12:30 in the afternoon. The game is at 6:30, and it was slammed.
Yeah.
People everywhere that had been there for hours tailgating. Great crowd. I was very impressed with how hospitable LSU fans are. I'd heard that, but experiencing it firsthand was pretty cool. Me and my parents were there, and walking up to the stadium, it's like, do you guys need water? Have you been fed? Do you need a Jello shot? I mean, everything under the sun. And I get into the stadium, Dunaway is there, and it was such a cool environment because people call it one of the cathedrals of college football, along with Neyland Stadium and a few others, and you can really see it. So pregame, it was so loud that I'm sitting there thinking, if this is how, 4 quarters of football goes, like, I'm not gonna be able to hear after
Right.
this. Like, I can't even hear myself think. I'm trying to type things, and I'm like, "Oh my goodness," the sheer amount of people, and the way the stadium is built, it's built up, not out, similar to Neyland Stadium, and so it contains sound. And our friend of the show, Josh Pate, I'm walking around, and he was at that game, and it's pouring at this point. So I've got, like, my rain suit on, I've got my hat, this massive yellow vest, and I'm trying to do the student section, and all of the fans are field level, right? So there is no separation between you and the crowd. And I'm bobbing and weaving, and I see him, and I look up at him, I'm like, "This is kinda scary." Because of the energy, like, fans are on the sideline
Yeah.
heckling Alabama players doing their warm-ups. I don't see that often. But the fans that are there are heckling Alabama players as they are doing their warm-ups. I get to the student section, Callin' Baton Rouge comes on, and I'm like, "Oh, this is what it's all about." They have the fireworks that go off, and there's this layer of smoke and haze over the field.
So you know how sometimes when you leave a concert, it takes a little while for your hearing to
Yeah.
come back, and like you're constantly
Yeah, like
looking
opening
like
your mouth.
you're chewing grass or
Yeah.
something. At LSU, they actually do chew grass. But I did you have that feeling walking out of Tiger?
No, because it emptied out. There
Oh,
was
really?
no one in there. It was the remnant of Alabama fans in the corner of the end zone.
Mhm.
By second half, all my things are able to go through. I'm able to send video. Prior to that, I couldn't get a thing out. I was gonna go back to the media room to send things out to get it put out on social media. And I mean, I was texting Taylor like, "Okay, this is gonna have to come in waves because I cannot get a text out." And it was interesting because they're such passionate fans, and I saw it firsthand. If Alabama had not silenced them, well, I say silence, if they had not toned things down on that first drive by scoring, the level in there would have lasted 4 quarters. But because of Alabama's performance, I just lost an earring.
Happens to all of us in
Happens to
here.
all of us. Cute earrings, by the way, in case you guys were wondering. These actually got stolen, and then I found the same pair a year later.
You've been a victim of theft
I
quite
know.
often in
I
your
know.
life.
I know. I guess I'm an easy target. I don't know. Back to what I was saying.
You also don't lock your doors, which is a problem.
That is a problem.
Wait, hang on.
Oh,
Pause. Time out.
what
Time
do
out.
know?
You don't lock your
No,
doors, EG?
no, I do. I'm not putting that out there, guys. If you want to rob me, don't. It was one time in Statesboro, and I left my keys inside of my vehicle, and my keys got stolen. The car didn't. All that to say,
But
That's even more shocking.
I know.
I'm not here to shame you, but wasn't there another time you left your windows down or something?
Um, I'm not familiar with that one, but
Oh, okay.
maybe.
Okay.
Anyways,
Anyway, this isn't about trying to
no,
fix you
no, no,
personally.
no,
This is
no.
about trying to get your tails here. How was the travel to Louisiana?
It was great. We stopped in Meridian, Mississippi. So my mom, she's a historical person.
So she likes to see
Yes,
things
and know where we're at.
and know the story behind it,
Yes.
and then tell everyone else about the importance of that story.
Yes. So that was our first stop was Meridian, Mississippi, where she told me about all these old buildings, and then we went to the oldest restaurant in Mississippi called Weidman's. Delicious. Had an array of things on the menu ranging from seafood, steaks, chicken, little Creole, bread pudding, delicious. Went to some boutiques. My mom actually left her glasses there at one of the boutiques. So then we had to make sure we were back in Meridian, Mississippi by 2 o'clock on Sunday to make sure she had her glasses.
Oh my
I
gosh.
know, but we were all good sports about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like I felt like last week you had a little bit of hesitation going on this trip, and now you're coming out of it, and I feel like you had a wonderful time.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yes. And my hesitation was not covering the game. I love, that is my true love is going to these events. My hesitation was in the LSU element.
The
The
reputation.
reputation, exactly. Yeah. I was going on this trip no matter what, but I had a few reservations about the crowd I would meet. Now, like I said, the crowd, they were gone by, fourth quarter, it was a ghost town. So I don't think I experienced it at its peak. And me and Dunaway were speaking about that I want to see it when it is a four-quarter game because I think it'd be insane. But very cool trip. I loved Baton Rouge. I loved the campus. Very unique, which I like. I like when colleges have their own identity and it's not all modernized. I think Auburn does that really well. I think LSU has a very distinct style. Georgia, not so much to me. Everything's so spread out, but and Tuscaloosa, obviously, it's like within the town. It's a, very interesting architectural landscape.
Well, pretty much every Monday, we're going to want your feedback of what you did over the weekend and what
Yes.
you covered and where you went. And
Absolutely.
this one is definitely going to be high on that list of
Mm-hmm.
reactions
For
that I
sure.
wanted to get because I know there was a lot of hype going into it, a lot of logistics that had to be accomplished, and the game probably not nearly as exciting as the experience,
Right.
but definitely something worth recapping here
Yes.
on this Monday.
Absolutely.
Tomorrow, we have a special guest that's coming into
Oh.
studio, and it is going to be Ush. Ush is going to be here with us tomorrow.
Hey,
So
Councilman Ush.
I hope we can get both
Pennant
members of the Pennant
Grace.
Grace here,
Yeah.
but I would love to have you on the show tomorrow if available. I
Absolutely.
understand if you're not available because Ush is coming in.
Okay.
And if you want to, you know, basically avoid having to work with him after, hear you guys fighting all the time when you're doing
All
the
the
Pennant
time.
Grace. I mean, you guys are just ready to
We can barely
rip
be in the
each
same
other's
room.
hearts out.
Yeah.
You guys play nice for the camera, but you guys, I think, have very real grievances with one another. But no, Ush is coming off of an election win.
Yes.
We're going to talk about that tomorrow. We're going to have him on this first version of Meltdown 2.0, and I'm looking very forward to having
Love
Ush back in
him.
studio with us tomorrow. We have poker tonight.
Very excited about that as well.
Are you going to bring your A game?
Of
I felt
course.
you played really, really well last week,
Yeah.
but kind of got in a situation where things fell apart quickly for you.
I wouldn't say quickly.
I guess once you
He did. He would, though.
They did not fall. I got rivered. I guess that is a quick demise.
you did get rivered, but
Twice, actually.
you got rivered. You're
You
right.
flopped a river.
By me. That's not how this goes.
I
You got rivered by me, and you.
was
got it,
up on the flop.
But what place did you finish last week?
Uh,
Like
6th, 7th?
no way.
Yeah, way.
No, we consolidated 8, and you weren't at the final table.
So the 9th then, because I was
Probably
the last,
9th.
Yeah.
Probably 9th, maybe
Yeah.
10th.
No,
But
no.
I just here's what I want, EG. I'm not looking to argue. I just want you to be in the zone, and I don't
Shouldn't have
feel like
flopped the river.
you're in the poker zone right now. I'm looking at you in the eyes, and I don't feel like you're in the
My
poker
eyes are
zone.
closed.
Well, that's probably why I can't get a read on whether or not you're in the
No,
poker zone.
I'm in the poker zone.
You
I think
sure?
I played really well. Yeah.
You did play really well
Yeah.
up until
I
you ran into the river buzzsaw, which I
You
helped
thought you were
provide.
up too, which was funny.
I did. I
So it's
misread
like,
that
yeah,
situation, but I ended up the victor, which is all that matters.
but it was funny to think that you thought so the flop comes out and I'm up. I flopped 2 pair, queen 5.
Right. And I flopped top pair, top kicker, thinking that I was good there.
Yeah.
You flopped 2 pair, me not realizing that, and then an ace came out on the river,
Yeah.
which gave me top 2 pair.
Pumped.
So sorry about that, but I'm
Fire.
looking forward to tonight, and I hope we're at the same table.
I do too.
It'll be so great. I want to ask you an entertainment question here. It's just
Okay.
been announced the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders
I love them.
will officially return for Netflix for a second season of the docuseries America's Sweethearts. Season 1 followed the 23-24
Oh,
Dallas Cowboys cheerleading squad, led by program director Kelly Finglass.
yes, Kelly Finglass.
Yes,
Yes.
Kelly Finglass,
Who-
and choreographer Judy
Trammell.
Trammell?
Yes.
Okay, who would have known that? You would,
I
because
would.
you've been watching this show?
Since I was okay, I'm so excited to talk about this. Okay, so the original
Tyler, sit this one out.
sorry.
If we finally got EG on an entertainment topic that doesn't involve her eating popcorn.
Yeah, so true. So the original Dallas Cowboys cheerleader making the team was a CMT show that came out, I want to say like 2006, 2007. And I was not allowed to watch the Kardashians for obvious reasons, but I was allowed to watch Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders making the team. So from a young age, I was enthralled with Kelly and Judy, who've been doing it for forever, and these teams of girls that would come through. It was an early 2000s show, so it was a lot more cutthroat back then than what it is now on Netflix. And when I tell you guys, like the organization of the Dallas Cowboys cheerleader is incredible. How it's run, it's the equivalent of like an Alabama football. I would say there's few brands that are as well known, and it's the Dallas Cowboys, the Yankees, and at the college level, it's Alabama. And the way they run that program and how it came to be, like the historical significance of it, it was not a moneymaker at all, the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders. And they actually, when they started, they had high schoolers out there. And they realized pretty quickly, this is not going to work. We're not making money. Cue Kelly and Judy, who came in and they have set this standard for that team. And it is just so good. I'm so happy that they're having another season. And there's actually 2 girls on the team that were Alabama cheerleaders or Alabama dance members, excuse me.
Got it.
And so one misconception about Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders is they're not necessarily cheerleaders, they're dancers, professional level dancers. So you're looking at girls that come from dance teams in colleges, not necessarily cheer teams. The choreography is elite. I mean, everything is modeled after them when it comes to pro cheerleading.
Well, enough people obviously watch season 1 on
Yes.
Netflix to warrant a season 2. Obviously, Netflix controls all their own numbers. They know exactly how many people are watching, how many episodes they're getting through in a season, how many minutes per episode they're ingesting. And it sounds like you are a big fan of
I am.
Netflix making this decision
I
today to
am.
bring another season of the Dallas Cowboys cheerleader squad to your digital platform,
It's incredible.
the screens.
I'm actually so like I said, there's 2 girls that are former Alabama dance team members. And so, I'm trying to work something out to potentially interview them, especially now they're done filming, because obviously when they're going through the tryout process, which is so strenuous, you can't really be in communication with the girls because people are anxiously anticipating who the final team is going to be. Another interesting tidbit is that even veterans have to try out for that team.
Oh,
So you're never guaranteed a spot. So there's rookies and
wow.
there's veterans, and veterans can get cut. Obviously, you don't want to have a veteran get cut, but it's very, very, very competitive. And so I'd love to, sit down with them. And Reese, she is my favorite one of this season. And she recently went on Sadie Robertson's podcast.
Wow.
I know.
It's a small world.
It is. It is.
But I mean, this is like you're like a kid at Christmas right
I
now
am,
hearing
I
this
am.
news.
Ugh.
If I had known you would have been this excited, I would have probably told you off air. But here we are on air,
Here we are.
getting the genuine reaction.
Yeah.
So very exciting there. Let's hope that the Cowboys cheerleaders are better than the Cowboys themselves,
Amen.
because my goodness, that's a train wreck.
Not a great scene.
Tyler Johns is here. Tyler, my friend, we have a Monday Meltdown rundown to get to with a
Oh boy.
lot of different content to get to in a very short amount of time. So we're going to start with this. It wasn't a strong enough push to get it to first place in the weekend box office. That was held again by Venom, but we both saw Hugh Grant's Heretic this past weekend. This is an A24 horror thriller that leans heavily into religious debate.
Hmm.
And we won't get into any spoilers here, but we will have a spoiler review out very soon on Heretic. Overall, I enjoyed this movie, but I found that it didn't do enough to necessarily land the plane. But I think that this is a film that has a lot going for it if you're going in for a real thinker compared to something that's maybe a little bit more on the scary side.
I would agree. I was going in expecting more like a escape room thriller with somewhat religious undertones. Not what this is at all. This is overtly Hugh Grant's his character anyway, telling you what he believes, how he sees the world, et cetera, et cetera. And there's not a whole lot on the horror side, but it was like Zeitgeist. You remember that documentary?
I don't remember that documentary,
Okay,
to be
never
honest.
mind. But, it's a lot like that documentary if it was a horror movie.
Got it. This does have a couple of flavors of some other things that I've watched before. It does have a little bit of a Barbarian vibe, which is a movie that I absolutely love. Um, I think this does have a little bit of a Frailty vibe. Bill Paxton directed that movie, and it is very religious in its storytelling. I think that this movie could have easily been more offensive than it was, but
Oh,
I,
yeah.
I think it does a great job of sort of balancing out and it doesn't become too preachy, no pun intended.
Yeah, I was honestly expecting it to go that route
Yeah.
and just get to the point where they're just beating you over the head with,
Literally and figuratively.
yes, with, Hugh Grant's worldview,
I
and I'm glad they didn't.
I know we're gonna have a full review of this one, coming out later today here on the channel, but I think we both mildly recommend this one,
Yeah,
but I don't feel like I wasted my time with it. I mean, you've wasted
yeah.
your time with a lot of movies. You've admitted that,
Oh,
especially
yeah.
a lot of bad horror movies. This is not one of the bad ones.
This is definitely not one of the bad ones. I would say it's in my top 10 for horror this year, but um you can skip it, you can go see it. I wouldn't recommend staying away from it.
Yeah.
Like you can see it if you want to if you're interested.
I think it can create some good conversation post movie too, depending
Oh
on who
yeah,
you see it with.
definitely depending on who you see it with.
Definitely. So Hugh Grant's Heretic, I thought it underperformed a little bit this weekend, considering it was sort of the big major release of the weekend, but it's still A24. So for their standards, they've only had one movie ever open up in first place before, and that was earlier this year in Civil War. Civil War is the only
Oh.
A24 movie that's ever opened up. They're in the top spot. So
Well, I enjoyed this a lot more than Civil
this is
War.
much better than Civil War, in my opinion, as well. Okay, let's get into this one. You saw this movie. I did not. I don't plan on seeing this movie for any reason, but it's Red One. The
Oh.
early reviews have been tepid, including from Tyler. Red One will remind you of other better movies, according to Vulture.
Ooh,
Um,
that's
this
pretty
is a
brutal.
this is a movie, e.g., and let me see if this is one you'd want to go get popcorn and sit in front of.
Yeah, let me hear EG's take on the premise for this.
I think what this movie is, and Tyler's seen it, I have not, but what I've been marketed that this is that Santa Claus ends up going missing or gets kidnapped or he's in distress. And they have to assemble a team of individuals to rescue Santa Claus and therefore rescue Christmas. Am I correct about that, Tyler?
You're not wrong. Not so much a team, it's just The Rock and Chris Evans.
Oh, okay. I probably would watch this.
You would.
Yeah.
You're
I
that
mean,
much of a Christmas fan
if
that you're
it's
willing to overlook the poor quality of film to go eat the popcorn and enjoy the merriness of this.
yeah, the Mary part. I mean, I'll probably wait till it comes on streaming. I don't know if I'd go see it in theaters, but the type of humor I'm sure this movie has is probably something that I would laugh at.
I don't think it is,
Really?
EG.
Is it not like kind of like I'm trying to think of like Six Underground type humor? Or
I haven't
like
seen that one.
what's the other one The Rock was just in with Gal Gadot?
So basically, is it every
Like,
rock movie
yeah,
ever.
where it's like, there's a mission and then there's, like, some humor that goes involved with it.
Now, here's what I'll say to EG's point. It does feel like a movie that is destined for streaming
Yeah.
very
It does.
quickly,
Yes.
and I believe Amazon Prime is who's behind this, or
Yes.
Amazon Studios is
Amazon,
who's behind this,
MGM. Yeah.
and they're probably gonna put it on their streaming service, I would think, relatively quickly, depending on how
For
it does
Christmas.
financially. There's a lot to get into with this, sort of, without spoiling whether or not Christmas is saved in this thing. What was your overall take from Red One? Was it a complete waste of your time?
Absolutely. This missed on every possible level. The jokes in it weren't funny. Not that I was expecting like some witty highbrow humor, but I have sat through the Garfield movie and Hit Pig this year, and the comedy in this fell flatter than those two. It was abysmal. Um, the action scenes pretty boring. The visual effects disgusting looking. They spent 250 million on this, and it doesn't look good at all. And on top of that, it's just not a good time. Or really a family movie. This pushes the PG-13 line like Beetlejuice 2 did.
Mm.
So it's not really one you want to bring the kids to if
Yeah.
you've got young kids. But even if you did, I think they would be bored and then the parents would just sit there thinking this is the dumbest movie I've ever seen, which it is.
It is when I see this thing, I do ask myself, who is this made for? And now I have the answer. It's EG.
Yeah.
EG wants to see this thing. Just maybe not anytime soon, or
No, I mean,
maybe not this year.
no. No.
Okay.
It's just not worth it.
Seem less
What
decisive about it.
would this be something that would have done better on, like, a Netflix as, like, a
Yeah.
Christmas premiere type
Had
thing?
to.
I guess because then people who are regularly checking the platforms for new movies would see it, but I don't think this makes any sort of impact in theaters, and I think this also gets lost in streaming.
We'll see. It opens up this week. If it's not number one, it will be a shock because once again, Venom 3 has held the number one spot for 3 weeks, and there's nothing else that's really new coming out. So if this movie, what will it need opening weekend to be deemed a success? That part I don't know. I think it's a very pricey film, but I also think it's being
It
put
is.
out by a distributor that doesn't really care about the returns, is using it more for a marketing push for their streaming platform eventually in Amazon. So we'll see.
That's scary.
Well, that's kind of what Apple and Amazon have been doing, right? They haven't been caring as much about the box office returns as they care about the visibility of big stars working with their studios and things that they can put Play Now on their streaming sites.
That's why I gotta keep supporting the movie theaters, my popcorn purchases.
Absolutely. Please do. You're the movie
Please do.
theater's
Backbone.
number one customer. I know Tyler's always there, but the fact that you go in, you only purchase popcorn and you leave,
Yeah.
I promise you they prefer you being a customer over Tyler somehow, some way.
What can I
It's a
say?
crazy world we live in. Dwayne Johnson, also known as The Rock, has spoken out about the controversy over his set behavior.
I
Oh.
saw this.
He's calling it BS. There was a report that came out. We actually talked about this a couple of months ago about The Rock always being late, being kind of a jerk, and constantly peeing in bottles on set and making his assistants like dispose of them.
You know, his
He admitted
kids
to the last part.
He did.
Oh.
We're going to get into that. He
His
actually has a quote.
his kids went to my high school. Went to my
The
school.
Rock's kids went to your
What?
high school.
When he was filming in Atlanta a couple years ago, in the interim, his children were enrolled at my school.
What
you
are
ever-
his what's his kid's name?
I have no
Pebble?
idea. I mean, they're young, and that was funny. They're
That's so
young,
bad.
elementary, but it goes preschool to high school, so they were there though.
Tyler, you're held to a higher standard on this show. I'm just going to say that. You're held to a higher standard. So when you make a joke like Pebble, it makes me wonder if, unfortunately, I'm ruining your career somehow. So, I'm going to give you a mulligan on that one. This is what The Rock said about admitting to peeing in bottles and to showing up late to filming. Quote, "Yeah, that happens, but not the amount, by the way. That was a bananas amount. That's crazy ridiculous." He's talking about the amount of hours that they're reporting that he was late. At one point, there was a report that came out that said he was 8 hours late to set one day.
That's a whole day.
That's pretty much a whole day. Red One director Jake Kasdan said, "The Rock never missed a day of work ever. He has a lot going on. He can be late sometimes, but such is Hollywood. That's the case with everybody.
Oh, I
Honestly,
hate
I've
that.
I've made 3 big movies with him. I've never seen him be anything but great to every single person on that set." But he did admit to the whole peeing in bottles thing.
Who's about to
which
get him?
Who's out to get him?
Yeah, someone seemed like maybe someone on set seems to be
Mm.
leaking some things.
Well, I don't know the
I
answer.
honestly believe the stories.
The Rock made a power play to try to basically take over the future of DC Studios in a way. Like, DC was fledgling with their cinematic universe. He thought he could come in as Black Adam, as the biggest Hollywood star that existed, and sort of save the day, both on screen and off, and help sort of bring Henry Cavill as Superman back into the mix and get everything back running. And it was a catastrophic misfire for him trying to accomplish that goal. Now there would be future catastrophic misfires when it comes to the multiplex and how many movies underperformed for DC after that point, including most recently Joker 2 here, which isn't tied into that cinematic universe, but is definitely a part of the vision of the studio that existed of how to generate more money and more acclaim. And DC right now desperately needs a hit, which is something actually we're going to get into because the Penguin absolutely is a hit for DC Studios. It just wrapped up with its season finale last night. We'll be coming out with all of our spoiler thoughts here very soon, but our non spoiler thoughts, Tyler, we haven't really discussed it, but I believe they absolutely stuck the landing in this season. And I think it is an all time great Gotham centric show, in my opinion. What's your thoughts on The Penguin after seeing season one? Will it be the last season? Who knows?
Absolutely fantastic. They captured the energy of Sopranos, Scarface, and just brought all that into Gotham City and just knocked it out of the park every single week. I could not well, you know that I got behind on this
Same
show,
here.
and it took me a while to catch up. Once I started watching yesterday to catch back up, I didn't stop.
Same.
I just kept going because I needed all of it. I
Yeah.
needed all of it. Um, it was just absolutely spectacular. I saw Jody in the chat earlier saying, "Go ahead and just give Colin Farrell the Emmy." Yeah, it's on his way. They're engraving it now. He cleaned up. It was just fantastic. They captured every little moment, every tonal sort of I don't know how to say it. They captured the energy I was looking for, is what
No,
I'm
well,
trying to
well,
say.
here's what they did, Tyler, and here's what I think you're overall trying to say, and that is that they got Gotham City right. And that's a huge
Yes.
part of this.
There's so many projects that just completely miss on Gotham.
Right. And there's so many different versions of Gotham that we've ingested either through the comics or the films or the television series. I don't really like the show Gotham, but I really like the Gotham in this show in The Penguin. Smuff is in the chat saying DC has a Batman problem. The problem is the rest of their characters that aren't directly tied to Batman are useless and uninteresting to the public. And I think what Smuff is saying is basically outside of Batman and his rogues gallery, is what I'm taking from this, that they can't figure out how to get anybody else across that sort of threshold into being culturally relevant in 2024. James Gunn has that task with Superman. Can he make Superman matter in 2025? That is going to be the question. And the future of DC Studios under James Gunn will be determined by what that answer is. And the betting favorite right now is that he's not going to make Superman culturally relevant again in a cinematic way that brings more and more fans in, especially with the current state of superhero cinema also dragging down those chances. So that's the betting favorite. But I'm actually putting my chips on James Gunn and I'm putting my chips on this Superman project.
Wow.
And I know that there's a million ways it can go wrong, but there's just a handful of ways it can go right. And even though I haven't seen a lot of things yet that have excited me too much, I love the pedigree behind this. And I think that after that first teaser trailer that we get, and then after the first trailer, which I project will be during the Super Bowl, I think that's when we'll get the full length trailer for Superman. I think a lot of people are going to be buying up stock, and I'll already be holding it because I believe in James Gunn's ability to make Superman project that he's wanted to work on his entire existence relevant enough to draw in general audiences and make it fun. If he can do it with a bunch of goofballs in the galaxy, he can do it with Superman, who at one point in our nation's culture was the superhero, the end all be all. He's got to figure out how to make him
Bring him back.
transparent enough to.
And that's why I'm hesitant on if he can actually pull this off. Because I wonder if culture has just shifted so much to the point where a character, a hero like Superman,
Yeah.
just would even be accepted by the general audience.
We want characters that are imperfect,
Yes.
not characters that are perfect. And I think the key to getting Superman right with James Gunn is something that I think nobody's talking about.
It's getting the man part right.
Clark Kent has to be done right. You have to get that element of Superman correct. And if you can make Clark work, you can make Superman work, because Clark is the thing that's actually going to draw us in emotionally. So a lot of people talking about Superman this, Superman that. Oh, I don't like the way he's putting on his boots and there's an alien in the background. Nah.
It's one still. It's one still.
It's
We can't make all these sweeping predictions.
What's the issue with the
still.
boot?
Oh, it's just the only picture that's been released is him
I'll look it
putting
up.
on his boot while there's an alien invasion going on, and then so people like to go into that one picture and just take it apart, every little detail.
I don't think it was a great picture to put out.
Oh, I'd agree
Like,
with that.
I don't think
Oh.
it opens up for a lot of criticism and skepticism.
This one?
Yep, that's the one. But like
Yep.
Metropolis is getting destroyed behind him and he's like, "Oh, guess I got to go to work," so
Should have got the Velcro ones.
Who
I can't
is-
get these laces to work.
Who is Lois Lane?
I'm trying to remember who is
Uh,
Lois Lane in this new movie.
Good question.
I don't remember who's cast as Lois Lane, but we'll get you the answer on
Yeah,
that.
please do. I'm more
Yeah.
familiar with the DC world than the Marvel world.
Well, this is DC, so
Yeah.
you're good there.
Rachel Brosnahan.
Rachel Brosnahan, and I'm trying to
looks like-
remember exactly what she's from. Rachel Brosnahan. Cause
Oh, good match to me in my mind of what Lois Lane.
yeah.
Let's see. She was in House of Cards as the character Rachel Posner. She was trying to find.
There's something
Oh,
else. Yeah.
Miriam Midge Maisel in The Marvelous
There
Mrs.
we go.
Maisel.
That's
Never
the
seen
big
it,
thing she's from.
but
To
I've heard good
me-
things.
Yeah.
Elaine from Seinfeld, I associate her with Lois Lane. I don't really know why.
Well, Elaine from
She'd make a
Seinfeld.
good Lewis.
Elaine from
Lois.
Seinfeld?
Yeah, I think Julia Louis-Dreyfus would.
Not currently.
Currently,
maybe,
yeah,
maybe
back in the
Pete.
day. Back in the day.
She's in the Marvel Cinematic Universe now. We actually
she
got a lot of
is?
Marvel
Really?
stuff. She is, yeah.
Who is
As
she?
what?
Well, she's playing the woman who's like the lead government agent.
Interesting.
She's been in the television series
Oh.
Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Oh, okay.
And I want to say she showed up in one of the movies. I don't remember which one, but she's going to be a big part of sort of the future of the MCU with a lot of different characters that are going to be
They
going in.
really need to-
Thunderbolts.
Yeah, they need
she's
to
gonna be in
stop
that.
making TV series.
There's a lot that people haven't been caught up on, but she was in Falcon and Winter Soldier, if I'm not mistaken. And she was a big force in that one, and she's going to be a bigger force in the theatrically released cinema that we're going to be getting from the MCU with her. But they released a lot of MCU stuff this weekend, actually. We got to see Thunderbolts, and we got to see Captain America Brave New World with Red Hulk and Harrison Ford being seen for the very first time in a presentational way by Marvel. We've had a lot of leaks in that, and I guess that sort of forced their hand to go ahead and release some of the imagery there in the trailer. But we got all that this weekend, and we will see how it stacks up. But the Penguin, we'll have our full spoiler review out later today. We are both big fans of it, and I think we're going to be praising that series for a long time. Honora. All I keep hearing about this film is it's best picture worthy. Am I correct that you also believe it is best picture worthy after having seen it this weekend? And what's the general premise for EG who maybe doesn't know anything about Honora?
So the general premise for this movie is that a dancer and lady of the night gets approached by this Russian guy at the club she's working in, and she starts to work for him, and over time over 2 weeks they get married.
Hmm.
And then Russian guy's family, he's from a wealthy family, they come over to America to try to break up the marriage.
Chaos ensues.
chaos ensues. Exactly. It's like if you mixed Goodfellas with Pretty Woman.
Oh, wow.
It's a very odd mix, but it works perfectly.
Violent? Very violent movie?
N not particularly violent. I mean, there is, like, violence in it, but it's not some crazy, like, shootout like there would be in Goodfellas.
Got it.
It's, more just like people fist fighting a little
Got it.
bit.
Okay.
Mikey Madison, she grabs, lamps, chairs, whatever she can find to fight.
Gotcha.
Mm.
So this is a movie that is worth all the hype and acclaim behind it,
A absolutely.
and is one that you think is a lock for a nomination at the very least.
A nomination at least. Mikey Madison gives a fantastic performance in this. Just really gives her all from start to finish. It's funny when it needs to be. It's got a little bit of a Quentin Tarantino vibe to
Okay.
it. In the sense that you've got without spoiling anything, some goons, some henchmen that
Love good
they
henchmen.
blabber back and forth. They'll talk pop culture, they'll talk food, and there's a lot of comedy interlaced in those
So there's
scenes.
some levity in here
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah,
I
for
love
sure.
movies like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
But then
Well,
you also have a ton of emotional depth with Mikey Madison's character, Honora.
you've sold me. I'm going to go watch it today, and then we will shoot a review tomorrow, and we'll share our thoughts on Honora and whether or not it is leading the pack for us as a collective unit here from the Meltdown going into award season. There's something that I've got to get into that I don't know a lot about. I'm going to be completely transparent with you. I've only watched one episode of Yellowstone, I believe, in my life.
Same here.
I think
Same.
I watched the pilot and didn't move any further from that. But I also caught Yellowstone long after it had become sort of this cultural phenomenon. So I just didn't devote the time I needed to Yellowstone. And it looks like, based on everyone's frustration level, that
We
may have
made
been
the right
play.
choice.
Yeah. But is there anybody in the chat that saw Yellowstone last night? Or is there anybody that's a Yellowstone fan that can pretty much lay out why everyone's so angry? Because all over my timeline last night was just Yellowstone frustration and anger. And I think it all has to surround Kevin Costner. Obviously, he left Yellowstone to go do his Horizon saga, which was supposed to be 4 chapters. That wasn't even meant to be a joke, but you laugh because it was an epic failure.
What a play.
It didn't work out. But Horizon is something I also haven't seen. I haven't been following a lot of Kevin Costner here lately.
I
But
don't blame you for not seeing Horizon. I looked at the runtime. Because I thought about going to it just to check it off my list,
Yeah.
add another movie to my list for the year. And it was over 3 hours long, and I said, "No, thank you. A part one of four that's 3 hours long. No. I don't even like westerns. I'm not sitting there that long."
these studios that have rolled out part one, part two, part three, part four, they typically regret having done that because what a lot of people want is a complete experience.
Yeah.
And if they know something has a part one, they'll wait to see if it's any good and whether they should waste their time on it. And then they'll just try to binge watch one, two, three, and four if they've heard it's fantastic. Um, so what happens is so many people sit out of part one that no word of mouth is able to be generated because everyone's sort of playing the wait game because they don't want to get suckered into a 3 hour snooze fest, which is why another reason why Tyler said, no thanks, I'm not interested in this. There is a part one of a film coming out that's not being marketed as a part one, but it comes out this month. It's going to be one of the bigger movies of the month, and that is Wicked. Not sure if you've heard this story, EG. I know Tyler has. The packaging of Mattel's Wicked movie dolls
Yes, I've heard this.
included the address to a pornographic website and has reportedly led to a ton of traffic
Oh,
for Wicked Pictures, the adult entertainment company that actually owns the web address.
oh.
The official website for the Universal Pictures film, which stars Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande in the adaptation of the Tony-winning musical, is wickedmovie.com, which has seen a similar spike in search activity over the past 2 days, according to Google Trends. So, you've heard the phrase, all publicity is good publicity, even bad publicity is good
I don't
publicity.
think this is good publicity.
You don't think so?
No.
I mean,
Well-
people are talking about Wicked. They're seeing Wicked everywhere. Wicked, 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 wicked. How's that a bad thing
Considering
when the movie's being
it's on a
marketed?
children's toy.
I mean, I agree with you. It's not
I
right. It's
mean,
not morally the place where you want this type of content. But how's it bad for the movie? I'm
I
trying to figure out
think
how the movie loses here.
I think with the discussion around Hollywood lately in the last few months and the cast of characters that are involved in certain things, if you will, that is being brought to light, a move like this. Now, from my okay, this is what I'm assuming. I'm assuming that they thought they would own that website by the time this aired. So when they had to put dolls and all that into production,
I think somebody
I think some intern just
picked
messed
the
up.
wrong
Yeah.
website. I
And
think
we're
that's
just
what
like,
happened.
oh, it'll
just
be wicked.com for sure.
that's my point is that I think that, you know, these
You think they took the gamble of, I think we can own this thing by the time it hits the
right.
children's
That
I
would
story
be
mean,
hour.
wild.
I
No.
I personally think that when they were going through this, because when you have to put stuff into production like that, this is years in advance, truthfully, of when they're, getting factories involved, getting their mock-ups done. If they didn't own it then and they thought, okay, we're gonna own this. This is of course gonna be our, you
Yeah.
know, line, our web search. I mean,
I don't buy that. I don't think they took the
so
gamble
you
of,
think it was intentional?
no, I think it was unintentional. I think it was unintentional. Intentional would have been, let's go ahead and print it
Sabotage.
the way it was. I think it's definitely unintentional. I think it was they left off the most important part of the URL and they ended up,
So it was an oversight.
yeah,
Yeah.
it
I
was
don't know.
definitely an oversight.
How do you I mean,
Somebody
uh,
lost their job.
Yeah.
I don't
Definitely.
know. I just
But my counter argument is this isn't bad for the movie's press and campaign because people are talking about Wicked more. It was talked about on the next round today. Why would they be talking about Wicked
right.
if this hadn't happened?
I don't
Well, they talked about it because I put it in trash
Well,
for
why did you
today.
put it in trash?
right.
Oh,
Because it
because it
happened.
is, yeah.
That's what I'm
Well,
saying.
Yeah.
yeah, okay.
Like they don't bring up Wicked unless you put it in trash. You don't put it in trash unless this sort of
No,
thing happens. It gets people buzzing.
I don't
I don't think it's the 40 chess play though that
I
you
ain't
think
saying
it
it was
might be.
intentional. I'm saying they're
yes,
benefiting from the
but I will
chaos.
say this. I don't think that this new development is going to prevent anyone that was already gonna go see this from seeing it, and I don't think it's gonna cause Ryan Brown, Lance Taylor, and Jim Dunaway to go see it because of that story if they weren't planning on it
But it may
already.
cause somebody to see it after they talk about it, right? It
Yeah, for
creates a
sure. For
discussion.
sure, for sure.
The movie right now, once again, the actual movie site is peaking online as well. So, I mean, they got the benefit of people buzzing about it and talking about it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Although Mattel, they're probably the big losers in all this because
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that production was on them.
Mattel said, quote, which is the one who distributed
Yep,
the
yep.
doll and didn't have anything to do with the creation of the movie. Quote, Mattel was made aware of a misprint on the packaging of the Mattel Wicked collection dolls, primarily sold in the US, which intended to direct consumers to the official wickedmovie.com landing page. We deeply regret this unfortunate error and are taking immediate action to remedy this. The toy manufacturer also said, quote, parents are advised that the misprinted, incorrect website is not appropriate for children. Consumers who already have the product are advised to discard the product packaging or obscure the link and may contact Mattel customer service for further
So they're
information.
not giving refunds?
I've not seen refunds on this. No, I've not seen recalls or refunds, even though I would assume they've asked for these boxes to be,
Discarded.
well, that you say that, but I'm not sure. I mean, when they say like just basically
The
buy the toy and get rid of the box.
right, that to me, that's so if
Or just take a Sharpie to the box
that's
was their
just
other
not
solution.
That's not.
Obscure the link.
They should have all the store employees go in and doing
yeah,
that
I mean,
immediately.
to ask the
Ugh.
consumer, like, of a, 6-year-old girl that wants her Glinda doll, an alphabet doll, like, "Oh, by the way, you're gonna buy this, just know that you need to handle it yourself. We're not, as a company, gonna do anything to reconcile our
Well,
mistake."
you can contact Mattel customer service for further information. I
Further
don't know
infor
what further information it
right,
would be.
if I'm Mattel, I mean, again, from a PR standpoint, I would be I mean, I know it's cost, but if you wanna keep customers, say, "We're gonna offer you a new doll with the correct packaging,"
Yeah.
because I don't know. As a parent, that would make me mad that I have to take care of it.
It is always frustrating when you go to pay for something and you're not getting what you
Yeah.
expect in return.
Especially when it's children that
Right.
are it's not, adults buying these product. It's marketed towards children, and you can't resolve something when it comes to children?
Yeah. Let me
Not
tell
not a good look.
let me tell you a place, EG, where I always get the experience that I pay for. That's Alabama Dental
Mm,
Associates. My
nice.
friends, Dr. Jeff, Dr. Brian, and Dr. Nolan over at Alabama Dental, they'll take care of you. You may walk in looking like the Wicked Witch of the West, and you're going to walk out
Glinda.
looking like Glinda over at Alabama Dental, and you're going to be happy that you took the trip over there. They're extremely flexible with your schedule, late office hours, Monday through Thursday, along with hours of availability on Friday and Saturday. We may have Dr. Brian playing in the poker game tonight.
Oh,
It's
I've
possible.
heard he's pretty good.
He is very good not only at playing poker, but also poking around at your teeth and making sure that they're clean and ready to go. They're accepting new patients now and can help you feel at ease about all of your upcoming dental procedures. For more information or to make an appointment, call them at 205 956 8977 or visit alabamadental.com where they look forward to seeing you. All right. We've talked about children's toys with Mattel. Let's talk about a children's bear that has come to life in Paddington. And I am not overstating this next thing I'm about to say. I've told it to Tyler over and over and over again, and I'm going to put it on the record. Paddington, the film trilogy, may go down as the greatest cinematic trilogy of all time when it's all said and done, because Paddington 1 and Paddington 2 are both absolute classics. If you have not watched either one of those, they are fantastic family films, and I highly recommend them. I showed them to my wife and daughter, who were kind of skeptical about whether or not this toy come to life story could be as magical as something that we've seen here in America with Toy Story. And I can tell you that it is absolutely, it just makes you feel like you're drinking nice cup of tea with a
The
warm
Queen.
dose of honey in there. And it really feels
Marmalade toast.
marmalade toast. It fills your soul in the right way. It's the most optimistic of movie trilogies potentially. Although I have not seen the third one, Paddington in Peru. I am very excited to take the family to see this, and it debuted over the weekend in the UK, landing a record-breaking first weekend at the box office with the biggest UK gross since No Time to Die came out with Daniel Craig as James Bond. Do we need to get into our Daniel Craig
No,
James Bond
Lord,
discussion
no.
again? Okay, we won't do
I
that.
do declare we
Yeah.
just need to move on.
Right. That is absolutely correct. This movie, Paddington in Peru, will be the movie I'm looking most forward to seeing as a 2025 film in the first few weeks of 2025 because it comes out January 17th
Oh,
here in the US. By then, I will have hopefully caught up on Christmas movies that'll be out, like Nosferatu that comes out December 25th. It's not a Christmas movie, but it comes out on Christmas, and I'm looking forward to seeing that. But Paddington in Peru is one of my most anticipated movies of 2025. Tyler, tell me you're right there with me.
I am. I think this could go down as the greatest film trilogy in history.
There we go.
The first two, I believe, are sitting like right around 98, 99, just at almost as high as you can go for Rotten Tomatoes critic scores. I believe this one debuted with around a 95%, making it the lowest of the trilogy at 95% fresh.
Correct.
It's
The
insane.
fact that it has been this well received and they continue to put these out with, I hope, the same sort of attention and detail. If you heard our conversation about Heretic earlier in this with Hugh Grant, he's fantastic in Paddington 2. And this is a film series that I can't wait to see how well it does with a third edition of the Paddington story. But I'm looking very forward to it. And it is a family friendly film, but it delivers real heart, real laughs, real charm. I mean, the Paddington movies are almost impossible to hate, except
Oh yeah.
for the 5% of people who have no love in their life that for some reason hated Paddington.
I just wanna know what that person's day is like. Like you sat down and saw this film about a bear who just loves marmalade toast and just friends and
Yep.
family, making friends, and you're just like, Get this out of my face."
Yeah. There's some
uh,
cold people
What's
in
your
this
life
world.
like?
quick question. This is, I'm not y'all, I feel like can give an answer on this. Why would they not have this ready to be released in the States in time for Christmas?
Well, they're doing a rollout to try to build more hype, build more word of mouth, build more international attention. So that way, when they roll it out to different markets, it comes in with a little bit of an enhanced marketing campaign.
Interesting. So
Yeah.
I guess my question is, why would you not do that in preparation to have it released in the States during Christmas? Like, why would you not start that process earlier and then have it released?
I think they look at the window, right, and they try to figure out when are we going to be able to make the most amount of money. If we release around Christmas, we'll still be competing potentially against Moana, potentially against Wicked. We'll be competing against Mufasa, which is
Mhm.
coming out. And so we're going to let all those things die down and we're just going to hit them with a big 2025 punch there at the beginning. Plus, if you don't roll out everywhere all at once, you're able to take the stars of the film and have them
Promoting?
promoting it in different
Yeah.
parts of the world. So that way it gets a little bit more of a push. So
Interesting.
that kind of goes into how the film business works. There's in Wicked Part One, right? I keep calling it Wicked Part One. The thing that's going to
Just call
upset
it
some
Wicked.
people,
There's no guarantee that this gets a sequel. They have put so much money into it. I'm expecting a bomb.
I think it's guaranteed to get a sequel, regardless of how it performs, and I really mean that because I think they already shot so
Oh,
much of the second one that they're going to put it on.
that would guarantee it then.
Right, but it is a half of a story. If you're a fan of the Broadway production, you're not getting the whole thing here in Wicked. They were
I
originally
didn't
going to go
realize
with
that.
Wicked Part 1, but then they decided, you know what? A movie like Mission Impossible came out with Dead Reckoning Part 1 and it underperformed. People don't like the Part 1s anymore. They don't like that. Maybe retroactively you can add on the Part 1, the Part 2, whatever, but you cannot do it to promote a film anymore that something is a Part 1 because audiences will just simply, it seems like, reject that. So we got today a teaser trailer for the eighth Mission Impossible movie, which is officially titled Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. It was going to be originally Dead Reckoning Part 2
Oof.
because the other one was Dead Reckoning Part 1. They just now changed that to Dead Reckoning retroactively. It opens up in theaters May 23rd of 2025. I thought the teaser trailer was exciting. I thought it did a great job of paying respect to a franchise that really has gotten better with every entry, minus this last one. I didn't really love Dead Reckoning Part 1 or Dead Reckoning now, but I think that this movie, while it is running out of steam, they got to figure out how to make this thing profitable because I think it's surpassed something like $400 million. I think it is being promoted. Maybe not promoted, but the storyline is out there that this is going to, when it's all said and done, be the most expensive movie ever produced in the history of cinema. And it was once again sort of pushed before they realized that the first Dead Reckoning wasn't really drawing in the audience and it got eaten alive by Barbie and Oppenheimer at the
$400
time.
million?
Right now, I think it's at 400. That may actually be on the low end.
So,
It may be up to
what is
450
the
at
most
It
this
has to
point.
be a
expensive
billion-dollar movie to break even.
Correct.
what is the most expensive movie created thus far?
I mean,
Man.
Gladiator 2's up there,
Yeah,
and
Gladiator 2's at 320.
it releases in a few weeks. We already talked about Mega Flopolis and how much money went into that production, but the movie budgets, e.g., are getting so out of control that these movies can't possibly generate
No,
profit.
you brought up a point last show about like the money laundering aspect.
I mean, if you're moving 400 million,
Uh,
you're not leaving me with that many options.
Yeah, this one is insane. I think the studio wants to sort of champion this in the marketing as the final Mission Impossible movie. And I think Tom Cruise very much wants to push back and go, well, let's keep the door open because obviously when you're getting paid these types of paydays
I
on a
want to keep it
production,
coming.
Yeah.
why not?
Tom Cruise has got to think of another stunt that might actually kill him.
That is correct. And I know Days of Thunder 2 is coming out. It's
Yeah,
in
I did see
production.
that. Yep.
So Tom Cruise is staying very busy. There'll be another Top Gun movie coming out here soon, which I know you're angry about for some reason, even though Top Gun Maverick is your favorite movie of all time and it is a sequel. So I don't want to hear that you hate sequels because your favorite movie of all time is a sequel. So please let's not get into this because then we
We'll get
will
into it
have
later.
detected a murder.
We'll get into it later once
Yes.
it comes out. And will I be seeing it? Yes.
Yes, you will. I know you
Ugh.
will. Hey, you know what we should do? We should all go see all the Tom Cruise movies that are coming out. Go eat at Culver's because Culver's is fantastic and it's definitely cheaper than $450 million to enjoy
is.
some nice Culver's. I think it's very reasonably priced for the quality that you're getting. Everything is made fresh to order. They use only the best ingredients. They do not cut corners. If you have had Culver's, you're going to understand the difference. Now, I want to say it again about the drive-through situation. It may be a little jarring because there's a lot of times you go to a drive-through, you're asked to pull up, and it's an inconvenience. It's
It
like,
is.
oh my gosh, I gotta pull up and I gotta wait, and are they gonna forget about me?
This is orchestrated.
This is orchestrated in that Culver's gives you a number. They ask for you to pull up, and I promise you, when you get that bag delivered to the side of your window or your face, if you sometimes I ask for them just to feed it to me, and they say,
Okay.
"Sir, we're not allowed to do that." But
Okay.
I continue to beg, and then they end up telling me. Anyway, um, there are some Culvers I'm not allowed to go to anymore,
Thank
but
goodness.
the one in Birmingham and the one in Hoover, I'm allowed to go to both of those. They're fantastic. You get the hot, fresh food. It's absolutely rewarding on every level. Every bite of that butter burger is fresh and enjoyable. And as long as you're not having Spud deliver your food to you, you have a good chance that
Yeah.
it's going to be made perfectly. Go try Culver's and welcome yourself there to delicious. All right, that's going to do it for our Monday edition of the Meltdown. A lot of movie, television, entertainment content here for you today. We've got even more of it coming out throughout the course of the day on this Veterans Day. We do want to thank all of our veterans who have served to protect this country, all of those who have given their time, all of those who have put their life on the line for our freedoms that we enjoy here in the United States of America. Thank you so much for making this country what it is, and it would not be possible without the veterans here that have served in honorable ways to make sure that we're able to enjoy that lovely burger, or we're able to enjoy going to the movies, or we're able to enjoy sitting around and
Mhm.
talking about the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders, which is how we started this show.
Amen.
So, thank you to all of our veterans, and we hope everyone has a wonderful rest of your Veterans Day. Once again, back tomorrow. Ush will be joining us in studio. Looking very forward to that, and hope everyone has a wonderful Meltdown Monday.